Hey guys, and welcome to the FitPro Social with me, David Kyle.
And me, Ash Burleigh.
Hey, super quick before we get into this week's episode. If you'd love a load of guides on how to generate more leads, how to chase sales, Canva graphics for your social media, Facebook ads, copy, and so much more for free, simply head over to thefitproportal.com/free. Anyway, let's dive into this week's episode. Good morning, guys, and welcome to a brand new FitPro Social Live. As usual, before we do dive into it, we want you to take part. We want you to join in. We want to hear what your thoughts are. So these are done live, so be sure to comment below and let us know your thoughts about the stuff that we're talking about, whether you agree, whether you disagree, or whether you want to say something completely different that's not relevant to this at all.
Yeah, cool. My last one here. So just like Dave says there, make sure you do comment below. That's exactly what the FitPro Social is all about. But we do have a very special guest on today who has a lovely cup of tea in her hand from the sounds of it. So how are you doing, Rachel? You all right?
Yes, very good. Thank you. Thank you for having me. So for anyone that doesn't know, I am the marketing manager at FitPro Lead Gen. So super excited. It is my first podcast.
Well, hey, and you sat right next to Dave, which you wouldn't think.
Nobody's supposed to know that. Like if I put my hand all the way over here, hello.
Waiting for free tool. So today I think we're going to be talking all about branding, which I always find is quite an interesting subject. I think because a lot of people do get a bit confused what branding actually is. So let's just jump straight into it. So in your opinion, Rachel, what is branding?
Cool. So there are definitely lots of different opinions on what constitutes a brand. I would say in its simplest form, it is the feeling that you leave with people when they interact with anything you put out into the market. So a brand is really about the feeling and you instilling and evoking some kind of emotional reaction in somebody. And that can be when they interact with a social media post. It could be when they actually interact with you face to face. It could be from watching a training video, listening to a podcast, etc. But it is ultimately the feeling in which you leave with people. And then as a result of that feeling, the action that person then wants to take.
Okay, cool. So anyone that's kind of listening to this are thinking, all right, that sounds all well and good, but how do I control the feelings of anyone that's listening or watching my stuff or reading my stuff? Like, how do I go from putting a post out there to making them feel in a particular way? How does that work?
It's probably a bit longer than what we can cover in a podcast. But essentially, you need to go through a bit of a brand positioning framework. So it's basically a process. You do a bit of an audit on where you're at the moment. I guess probably one of the most important things to understand is your actual audience base. So understanding what makes them tick, what kind of language resonates with them, what pain points they have, what their interests are, where you're likely to find them. That's a really good starting point. So to get like super clear on who your demographic is, the profile of that person, and not just kind of age and sex and the basic stuff. Go a bit deeper. So what are their beliefs? What are their drivers? Are they family kind of people? Is that what drives them every day? Is it money? Is it travel? Is it freedom? So to really understand what makes them tick from a psychological level, and then you're able to essentially design I would call it a toolkit in which you can then create these assets, create the proper messaging to speak to people, and then you roll it out and rinse and repeat.
Because it's weird, like when well, the best example would be like colors and fonts. So like you're scrolling through Instagram or Facebook, and before you see the person's logo, you just have a recognition of you know who it's going to be before it happens. And like now, there's a particular advert that if I said the song that's in the advert, you'll instantly know who it is. So that example is Domino. Everybody instantly knows, oh, that's Domino's, because like we hear it all the time. So it's like before Rachel joined, for me, branding was just colors and logos and fonts and stuff, but it's also what she's been teaching me It is about that feeling. So now when somebody hears that sound from Domino's, if they're very connected to it, I'm guessing they might start feeling a little bit hungry. Now they're feeling
I
like,
am now.
maybe I would like a pizza for dinner tonight. You know what I mean? And it's so scary what getting the right branding can do for your fitness business.
Yeah, absolutely. I always like to think of an iceberg, and if you go into Google and search it, you'll find a visual to back this up and explain it. But you've got kind of the iceberg, and then you've got the sea level, and you've just got a little tip that's coming out of the top of the sea. That's all what people think branding is, which is your colors and your logos and your fonts and how we appear and how we look to people. But actually, the bulk of the iceberg sits underneath the sea level. And what actually goes into that is a lot more about brand positioning, understanding your competitors, understanding like our mission, our vision as a business, our goals, getting super clear on who we are. So it's a really kind of layered process. And that was a really good example you just brought up actually about Domino's, because another one is a really good example is Specsavers. So they have been running the same line since I was a little girl. So I'm going to give away my age here, but 25 years plus. And they've been running the same tagline, the exact same one. And it has still lasted this long. It's still bringing in business. They're still doing really well as a company. And the line is, should have gone to Specsavers. But they have completely different look and feels to their adverts. So you might remember there's one with the cat on the operating table, but it's not a cat because the person hasn't got the glasses on. There was another one which is like a fisherman setting up in Scotland. So it's super rainy, it's miserable, it's dark. And those two scenes in terms of how they look are worlds apart, right? You've got a dark, miserable, grey, rainy scene, and then you've got a clinical scene in a hospital. So from a branding perspective, if we were just going to go on it being colours, fonts, and how it appears, those wouldn't technically work. But the point of the iceberg is that it goes much deeper than just that top layer. And that's why it works. And that's why Specsavers are still running the same ads. They're still going, and they literally can have a completely different look and feel, but they've still got the same line and they still evoke the same feeling in you, right? You feel a little bit humoured, a little bit like, oh, silly sausage, and then it does put something in your brain where you're like, oh, maybe I should get my eyes checked. Maybe do I need some more glasses? And that's how it works. It's so smart. And actually 90% of the decisions that we make are driven by our subconscious, and our subconscious is essentially our emotions running the show. So that's the power of branding, really, is tapping into that subconscious and then being able to kind of steer people in the way that you'd want to steer them, to change behaviors or to sell a product or to build a community, whatever it is that you're doing.
Just quickly, because I know Ash wants to ask a question. It's scary that you say that, because how many times, like on the football field or just anywhere in life, and someone turns around to you when you've made a mistake, and they just say to you, "Oh, you should have gone to Specsavers." Like it's so, it's got like it's just commonplace because people know it so well that now they say it to each other, and it's scary.
I mean, it's quite a good thing as well when you think there's actually probably another brand that tweaked that idea. Now I'm just thinking about off the top of my head, if you think the concept of I should have gone to Specsavers, the AA kind of stole that principle off them as well. I think that's quite interesting. They always said you should have joined the AA. And I always think that's kind of a similar thing, but really that's kind of coming off the back of that. And I think that's quite interesting when brands kind of pull off the other brands' ideas as well. I always thought that was quite interesting. But
yeah, like when I started my marketing career, I very much, because I was in trade and retail marketing to begin with, so it was the complete opposite of your glitzy, glamorous branding, and it wasn't above the line, glamorous TV adverts and magazines and all that glamorous stuff that people assume you do when you say you're in marketing. It was actually a lot of retail stuff. So it took a few years really of working for LG Electronics and then Dyson for me to really start to understand actually the power that is behind branding. And it goes so much deeper than what people think. And I think a lot of businesses, and particularly within fitness, they don't really put as much attention that they perhaps should, particularly to set yourself up, because you're building a foundation really that means that you can build and stack upon it. If you don't have that foundation, you've got nothing to build on. And that's often where people get tripped up and things fail. You know, lots of, I mean, I can't remember the stat, but it's the majority of businesses, I think within the first 3 years, end up failing. And I think a lot of it is people aren't really that clear on their goals, on their vision as a business, on what they want to be achieving with people. And they haven't done that work, which is essentially like some brand positioning and strategy work, to really understand where they sit in the market, what makes them so different versus their competitors. And that's the thing that grows and scales them long term.
Hey, it's going to pause it there for literally 2 seconds. If you're loving this week's episode, please let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. The more people we can get subscribing, the bigger guests we can get, and the more people we can help with the content being shared. Anyway, let's dive back into today's episode.
I mean, it's really interesting. I think in the fitness industry, you hear it a lot, especially online. A coach or a trainer will say, "Oh, I'm rebranding. I want to rebrand this." And basically what they're doing is they're changing a logo, the colors, or anything like that. And they put a lot of effort into doing that side of things more than doing anything else.
Yeah.
Probably without any of these kind of foundational stuff in place. I mean, how actually important is that for them? Or do you think it would be better for them to basically step away from that and focus on the deeper stuff around the brand? And really, does the colors, the logo, does that matter at all in the early stages? Can that come later on? What's more important?
Yeah, no, I think hey, it all matters, and it's going to depend on your audience as well. So certain groups and segments of people are going to resonate a lot better with a super clean brand. Other groups of people, not so much. But ultimately, I guess the thing to remember and always come back to is that people ultimately buy from people, right? So I think having a bit of a foundation to start with, and having something in your mind we think that's kind of the direction we're going to go, and then try to stick to that. And as you go through the process, you might test and learn things. You might find out your audience is perhaps a little different to what you thought. And I think then there's probably a lot of value then when you've done kind of the beginning stages, then to sit down and actually do that positioning work. I think the colors, the logos and all the pretty stuff, as it were, obviously it is important. And particularly if you're a coach that is, or a trainer that's giving away a lot of free training materials, workbooks, things that they can download, helpful resources, then the branding and the presentation of those is obviously quite important. But I would say it's probably less important for the coach's actual logo, etc., at that time, until they've grown, and they know what they're about, and they've got a super clear idea on their audience, and then they can better tailor themselves to build the brand for that particular segment.
It's scary how marketing and branding they're so interconnected in how it works. I'm just thinking then, for example, now, I remember this coach back in the day that worked from the same place as us. We worked with over 30s and we didn't price too high. He worked out the same building and did one-to-one, and he was very expensive. But all his websites and everything had very specific colors. There wasn't much going on the website. It was very clean. It was very unique. And like you just said there, that people do react in certain ways to certain things. So if they see higher end colors or higher end copy, it kind of pulls them in, and then that moves then into the messaging itself. So yeah, the colors and the visuals can pull people in, but then if the message doesn't match the colors and the visuals, then you've lost them. And so that's where the marketing pulls them in, but the branding then might not follow up with the marketing. So you do need both. They both need to intertwine.
Yeah, and they need to work together. Absolutely. And it's funny because lots of people think marketing is branding and branding is marketing. And again, I would say that the branding really is coming back to how does that make you feel? So if I interact with a video, a sales training, if I see a social media post from the same person, do I get the same kinds of feeling every time that I interact with that person or that business? And then the marketing aspect really is about transferring that feeling into actual activation. So we've created this feeling as a brand. I know the feeling I want to be giving to other people. So how am I going to do that? And then the marketing is the activation in which allows you to put across all that positioning and strategy and your brandings. But they do need absolutely to be aligned. Otherwise, the one could basically cut off the other, and the other could, vice versa. So
because let's look at it like in going shopping for food. So like if you go to Lidl or Aldi, it's carnage. There's lots going on. It's hustle and bustle. It's fast paced. It's in and out, and they throw your food straight off the conveyor belt and all that. It's hectic. It's crazy, and that's their branding feeling. But then when you go to, I don't know, Waitrose or even Sainsbury's to an effect, it's a lot slower.
Calmer.
It's a lot calmer. It's a lot more relaxed. There's sampled people going around. There's a very demographic type of server that you get as well compared to one store to the other store. So you know what I mean, that's branding, but that is the feeling that you get because they've got their branding right in that specific. It's just mind blowing, all this.
Yeah, it is. And if you think about it, it is ultimately the branding that allows businesses to win or not win. Because hey, most people aren't doing anything that's 100% brand new. Most people are recycling things. Coaches that are offering fat loss solutions. As a personal trainer myself, I know that there's one method to do that. You can dress it up as 20 times as differently as you like, but ultimately it comes down to the same method, the same formula, right? Okay. So no one really today, nobody's doing anything drastically that different. And hey, I'm not going to blanket all industries and all countries, but particularly within fitness, a lot of people are recycling what's already out there. So if you're going to recycle stuff that people can get access to from other people, from free resources, from different websites, then you have to recycle it in such a way that people only want it from you. And that's what the brand is. That's not the marketing, because the marketing, 5 coaches, all with the same products and programs, could put out Facebook ads, right? That's the marketing. That's tick, 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 tick. All 5 are doing it, but it will be the branding that actually converts the people into sales. And of those 5, the ones that win will be the ones who are super clear on what they are and on their missions, their values, their audience, how to speak with their audience, the pain problems they're going to face with them. So it's trying to get inside people's heads in the nicest possible, non-creepy way. And building a bit of a profile, and that would be probably one of the key things I would advise any business to do, is to really do a deep dive into your audience profiles and to build as detailed and as deep as you can. You don't want to be going wide and shallow. You want to be going narrow and really, really deep, and getting a really, really good insight on what makes them tick, their challenges, their pain points, and how you can best connect with them as a person to person.
It's really interesting because pretty much every episode when we talk about anything to do with sales, marketing, client delivery, or anything like that, me and Dave always go back to pretty much the same key thing, which is truly understanding who your ideal client avatar is and understanding everything about them to the deepest levels. And I mean, do you think, for anyone listening to this now and watching this, we talk about avatar a lot, and we see people post about it online quite a lot and talk about it, but they don't really go deep enough. When you're saying go deep, like how deep do you need to go? How narrow and deep do you need to go with this?
Well, I'd say that the deeper you can go, the better. So I would say kind of the top level where we're skimming the surface, we're looking at basics. So we're looking at old school data points. So your gender, your age, where you live, what kind of income you've got, what kind of shopping habits you may have. That's the absolute top. We're skimming. We're not really getting anything from that. And particularly today, I would say that there's been quite a shift away from, we've created this product and it is just for that age group or that demographic. Today, particularly services and particularly within fitness and wellness, it doesn't really matter what your age is. It doesn't matter what your gender is. It doesn't matter what your job is. If you have a goal that you want to reach, then that's ultimately why you're going to come and search for me. So if we go one step below the skimming, this is where we start to get some of the juicy information. So really then it's like, well, what might that client be struggling with at the moment? So chances are within fitness, chances are it's, as a nation, we're facing a bit of an epidemic with obesity. So chances are most people that come to you are going to want to drop their body fat, right? And feel a bit stronger, feel a bit healthier, maybe sleep a bit better, have a better relationship with food. But that profile of that person isn't segmented into just one category of person. That doesn't fit just 18 to 25-year-olds. That will fit 18 all the way up to 80-year-olds. So then it's like, well, how do we then add in the additional layers where we start to find some common ground that we can categorize people together? So their pain points might be overweight, lacking body confidence, not feeling great in themselves. And then again, if you're a female specialist, you go down the female health route, right, with that group of people. But that's kind of the juicier information that you really need to get. So in the nicest possible way, sit down for the best part of an hour and just brainstorm my client. What are their pain points? What does their day look like? How do they interact with media throughout the day? Are they going to be the type of people that wake up and jump on their phone straight away? Or are they going to be the type of people that perhaps do it a bit later on in the day? Are they going to be found on particular platforms? Do they read newspapers? Do they watch TV? Do they go on holiday? Are they living with families? Are they living by themselves? Do they own a business? Are they in employment? All of these types of things, you want to start creating almost little bubbles of people that all fit under the same umbrella, which is, I want to, for this instance, I want to drop body fat and gain confidence. But then you might have a group of people that are females that maybe have gone through life and are a little bit older. So maybe they're around the menopause age. They will need to be handled and spoken to a little bit differently to your 26-year-olds who are in the same kind of position. But ultimately, that's where you're going to find all the juicy and the nuggets of information that can help you steer your strategy. And over time, as a business, if you do keep an eye on your insights and you keep asking questions and you get really curious about your clients, so ask them all these things as you get to know them, you'll be able to pull together quite a cohesive set of data for your business in particular, right? Because everyone's business is different. And you might find that your target audience that you've set out is not actually what you get in day-to-day business. You might have a completely different set of people. And in that instance, it's, well, what tweaks do we need to make so we stop playing in this field where we're not getting the traction that we want, and we scale and make the most of this field where we are getting the traction that we want. And that's really where it comes down to delving into psychologies and pain points, challenges in life, where they're at in life, and what they're like as people, really, kind of traits that they would have. Because that's going to be easy commonality for brands to resonate and connect with people on quite an emotive level.
I really like how you've described that there. It seems to be, just kind of picture it in my head, you have this overarching brand for business, but then you talk about these little bubbles and you have different kind of people that would fall, different types of people that fall in it. So would that be kind of like, they would be your marketing campaigns within your brand? So you'd have your brand that overarched everything, and then maybe you have that would then influence how your marketing campaign would be to that particular type of person or that particular type of person. And then whatever you track the most of, you double down on from there.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd say actually that and it depends on the business, but generally speaking, if you've got 2 or 3 bubbles of audience segments and they are quite different to one another, so they're not fairly similar, and they're just, maybe this one's a bit older, this one might be male, but this one's female, but they're quite different. So say you've got one, let's say, that quite young. So I'm attracting 18 to 26-year-olds. They're super creative. They love going to festivals and holidays. The marketing campaign that I would create for them would look very, very different to my 30-pluses who are perhaps mums already or planning a family. They like traveling. They like quite a calm, quiet life. They like going for hikes on the weekend. So the marketing strategy that I'd create for both would be very, very different. But the feeling that I'd want to leave both would be the same. And that's what the branding is at the top.
So that's Aldi and Waitrose. Yeah. it's the same thing. Yeah. But like I say, the end feeling is I've now got my shopping, or I've now
Yes.
got my food, but the experience of going there and getting your food and how it all works.
Yeah.
It's so, I wouldn't say it's scary, it's so interesting how diverse and complex it can be. So like with us, we were an over 30 studio. So we didn't do particularly much branding because the word was the explanation of what we did was in the tagline, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like you say, if more people start moving in and more people that came to Cardiff to do over 30s, then like we'd have to differentiate ourselves from those people, because otherwise it's well, they all do the same. Who is the better person for me? And that's where it's like the emotions, the feelings, the messaging, and then at the top level, the colors, the fonts, the wording.
Yeah.
That really then helps you separate from the crowd.
It's a very complex process, really, and I think most people don't necessarily understand the complexities and the layers in which are involved in it. But yeah, I think branding is insanely powerful, and probably more powerful than people acknowledge, and put in the time to reflect that, because branding ultimately is all about psychology. The positioning is very important. So really having a clear understanding of both your audience and knowing how to communicate with them, but also your key competitors and their audience. So what makes our audiences different, or are they the same? And if they are the same, well, what are they doing to bring in all those clients? How are they talking to them? What feeling are they leaving with them? So it's important to do a bit of an audit, really, on your competitor landscape, your main competitors, and also your own brand as well. And then I would go from there. But it's an incredibly complex and quite integrated process. But when you get it right, you've only got to get it right once, as we've learned from Specsavers, right? You've only got to get it right once.
Do it well, you have to do it again. I mean, just for anyone that's listening to this now, a lot of our audience in here are not huge businesses. They might not have a team of like 10 people or 5 people or anything like that working for them. And there seems to be, or I've always noticed, there seems to be this correlation between, if I'm going to do branding at that level, I need to be this big conglomerate type of organization for it all. So how does somebody who's maybe a kind of a solopreneur, they're on their own, maybe have 2 of them working together, how does somebody like that approach branding and put that time and effort that's required into it and still do all the other stuff they do in their business? What's the best things they can do?
I would say just focus on a few simple basics to start with. So like a logo, it is important. Yes, it's not going to make or break you as a personal brand, right? Not a business, you're a person. So what's going to sell you and your business as a person is you and your personality. So the logo, keep it clean, keep it crisp. You don't even need one. You can just have text. And use tools. There's so many tools available now online. There's free things that you can use. There's AI generators for pretty much everything, for logos, for copy, for headlines, for anything you could possibly need. So go and use those tools. And I would say just focus on nailing the basics. So have yourself a clean, crisp name/logo, whatever that is. Keep it super simple.
Hey, just going to pause it there really quickly. If you know any guests that would love to feature, or if you yourself would like to feature on one of these episodes, do let us know by reaching out or letting us know in the comments. Anyway, let's get back into the episode.
You don't need to go crazy, particularly within fitness. Simple works within fitness. So just have that clean and crisp. That's my name/logo. That's what I can pop in all my presentations. I can pop it in my checklists and my workbooks that I'm going to give to my clients. Just get that bit done. The next bit I would say is you need to be super clear on your audience. So that's when I would do a bit of a deep dive. So look at your existing clients, try to take a step back and do it from a bird's eye view. So try and look at them from an external perspective. And if you can, try and gather some awareness on what commonalities they've got between them. And you should start seeing a few patterns. So, for example, for some reason, you might attract loads of creative, soulful people, which is what I did. I always attracted people in the music industry and they were on TV. No idea why. Absolutely no idea. But that was my audience. So it wasn't just women. It was over time. I was like, oh, no, actually, who I attract are creative, quite soulful women who are going out there doing quite non-conventional things. So, and then I started to then understand better from that analysis of, oh, well, then maybe I can sort of tweak how I speak to them. Maybe I don't need to be focusing on X, Y, and Z so much. So the audience audit, I'd say number 2, definitely get that done. So clean and crisp name / logo, a really super clear understanding of your audience. And hey, you might have 2, 3, 4 different segments of people, right? That all want to buy your product. And you're going to need to then have a think, well, how am I going to speak? If you were going to speak words, how would I speak differently to each of these groups of people? And that will be the little tweaks that you make in your messaging, which can make all the difference when it comes to bringing people on and converting people. And then I would say, actually, your focus should be really on building your authority and your credibility within what you do. So start building some client success stories, some case studies in whatever format you want. And I would, the number 1 rule for branding and marketing, I would say for anyone that is kind of a solopreneur, just a one-man band that's trying to manage 6 different jobs at once, right? We all know how it is.
Yeah.
But for them, I would really, really focus on nailing some of the basics to help you build your credibility. So you need case studies, you need social proof, you need to be showing, I can do this for you. And I'm not just saying it, here's all my proof to back it up. So focus on nailing those, having examples of those ready to go. And also then focus on giving value. So again, and I touched on this already, reels, everyone loves a reel. They're fantastic for growth and they're one of the easiest ways to get organic growth, but you've got to get them right. And most reels that you see out there are just recycled versions of other reels that they've seen somewhere else. So again, it all comes back to putting your little spin on things and also having the confidence in yourself to do that. So don't look at someone else and think to yourself, well, that business has grown X amount in the last year. I want to be like that. I'm going to copy everything that they've done, because the lack of authenticity and the lack of you owning your own original branding will eventually come up and it'll bite you on the ass and it won't work. It just won't work. So you have to be confident, put your spin on things, and then just get super clear, nailed down on a few things that you can create. And do that using tools like Canva. Canva is one of the best inventions since sliced bread. Do it using tools like Canva. Use OpenAI or ChatGPT for your copywriting, and then put your own spin on it. So don't just take what they give you. You look at it and go, right, how can I make this more relevant for my audience for this particular campaign? So I'd say really focus on the basics, get to know tools like Canva, get a clean and crisp logo or name. And then, yeah, a few colors would be great. But again, you can just use color palette generators online and just pick one. You can always change it. You're not set in stone. And if you're a small business or you're an entrepreneur or you're a solopreneur that's just starting out, if you rebrand, no one's going to notice. And I know it doesn't feel like that. And it feels like all eyes are on me and they're constantly watching me because you're under so much pressure in yourself to make something work, right? So I do get that. But the reality is people aren't watching you as much as you think. And that if you need to go back and delete things, if you need to rebrand, have a bit of a refresh, switch up your colors and your fonts and all of that, when you've built some of the basics, then that's not an issue. And that's not going to cause you any issues as long as you do it right and you take your time with the process.
Okay, so I'm going to ask one more question before we finish. So anybody watching this now who maybe has been following us, FitPro Lead Gen, for a while, and you've been seeing our social media and everything, and now Rachel, you're hearing her say all this stuff and you're wondering, well, Rachel's brand new. Her stuff is going to start rolling out from Monday, roughly.
Yeah.
So you've been here with us for almost 3 weeks now. What have you done in that time, and what should people start to see and notice that's going to be different with our social media and our copy and our website and everything that we do moving forward with regards to branding, so they can have an idea of, like, we actually talked about what should you do. Can you give us an example of what you have done,
Yeah.
what we'll expect?
Yeah, sure.
So they can see it for real.
Sure. So again, it's probably can't unpack it in a couple of minutes, but I'll give you a few examples that you can physically see when they come out next week, right? So historically, and I think me being here at FitPro, this is my 3rd week. So before joining, as far as I'm aware, it was we had one kind of designated person who was looking after the social media, and then the rest of it has kind of been split between the team. So there's not been one designated marketing head, so to speak, to actually sit there and pull everything together. So my job has been, there's been kind of 3 parts of it so far. The first thing we did is we ran a branding workshop. So everything we've just been discussing today, really, the feeling stuff, how we're going to position ourselves, why should we position ourselves in such a way? What are our values as a brand? What's our mission as a business? So we went through all of those questions. We got quite clear on our key, what we'd call USP, so unique selling points as a business. So we got quite clear on those. That branding piece is going to then be rolled out into changes on the website. So the copy that you see on the website will be changing quite soon. The website will also go through a rebrand, but that will be coming in a little bit later. And then all of the work that we've done on that branding and creating a position for ourselves has been the thing that's then also helped steer the design. So from Monday next week, if you have a look at our Instagram and our Facebooks, you'll be able to see the change in the design. So as we spoke about earlier, it is about colors and fonts as well. But that's just, as I mentioned, with the iceberg, we're just skimming the top of the iceberg with that. So next week, you're going to see, for example, if you have a look at our Instagram now, and we post single posts, so just single images that are on the feed, and there might be one with like a dial, for example, and an empty and a full. There might be one with a statistic, for example. So all of this information that we have as a business is actually really useful. But actually what we needed to do is to package it and present it differently. So from Monday, for example, you're not going to see many more, perhaps 1 or 2, but not many. You're not going to see any more of those single posts that have got some valuable information. They're just not highly relevant. They're just not highly relevant for helping people and building value in what we're doing. So you're going to be seeing us move over to a strategy online where we're providing a lot more value, and we're essentially pulling together all of the knowledge and the information that we have and the expertise we have as a team. We're pulling all that together and packaging it and presenting it in a different way. So we're going to be giving away loads more valuable tips and tricks to do with marketing. We're also going to be sharing, so as I've just mentioned then, about building your social proof and actually backing up what you say you can do with evidence. We're going to start to be sharing loads of client success stories. So these will start dropping next week. And again, just keep an eye on them and then have a look through them. And you'll be able to see, hopefully, after listening to this today, you'll be able to see that there's quite a lot of steps and strategic work that's gone into even creating something as simple as a carousel post. So yes, the 3 weeks has been a crazy whirlwind. It's been super amazing, and we've made loads of progress already, and I'm really, really excited. And we've also run a bit of a marketing workshop. So looking back historically, what have we done on a marketing front? So actual activity, right? So paid ads, social media, email campaigns. Have we run any leaflets? Do we do events? All the different channels that are suitable for our business. We've done a bit of an audit and looked at what's worked, what's not worked, and then created a stop, start, continue. And then the final bit is the overhaul of the social media, which is a work in progress. It's rolling out from Monday. It's going to take a few weeks for us to kind of streamline and get everything where we want. But yes, we're going to go from a business that seems to be from our social media, and particularly from our Instagram feed, if you look at that, because we talk a lot about content, right, in social media. But at the same time, our feed is quite numbers and colours and block based. We don't have a massive people presence in it. So that will be something else that is changing. So people can get to know the team. They can understand more about who we are as people. And actually, we can bring the story of us to life much better, because there's so many talented and passionate people here in this business. So how do we package and present that better to everyone else? So that's what we've been doing the last 3 weeks. It's been busy.
Sounds a little bit busy. Definitely sounds really cool. I mean, for anyone that's watching this now, like if you're interested in seeing what that transition's like and you're not following, then I guess we can pop the links around somewhere in the comments around here so you can actually get involved, see it, and actually see that progress happen in real time. It'd be amazing for people to do that. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Rachel. We're going to finish it off now because I think we're a little bit over half an hour. We'll try to keep it in half an hour. We've gone over just a little bit. So appreciate you coming on and spending some time with us on here. For anyone that is watching and they want to find out more about what we do over at FitPro Social, please make sure you like, subscribe, and get involved. You can head over to fitprosocial.com. If you want to go listen to some of the other podcasts, you can also find us on Spotify as well. So make sure you do get involved with that. One last thing I do want to mention, we have a very cool event coming up on the 23rd of November. Waiting for Dave to nod like this. The next FitPro Social event. We do have a few spaces left for that. So if you are interested in finding out more, we'll pop the link for that around here somewhere. It's completely free. If you want to come along, we've got some great guest speakers on there too. But that's it from me. I guess that's it from Rachel. That's it from Dave. And we'll see you all next week.
Cheers, guys. Speak to you all soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Hey, just want to say a big thank you for sticking around to the end of this week's episode. As a big thank you, head over to thefitproportal.com/free and we'll give you a load of additional guides, social media, Facebook ads, email scripts, and so much more to really help you start generating leads, making more sales, and growing your fitness business. I'll see you all next time.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the FitPro Social. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes.